Urban land use and housing in China is led by Professor Chang Chunfeng in Peking University. China's urbanization rate has tripled over the last 40 years. The objective of this project is to address the challenges arising from the rapid urbanization. We focus on three issues that are especially important. The first issue is urban villages. Nowadays, many Chinese cities still have some rural land located inside the city due to the massive expansion of urban areas. These urban villages need to be transformed to improve the land use efficiency and boost the urban economy. The second issue is internal migrants. In China, there are 250 million migrants left their hometown and moved to the city. They are often disadvantaged in the local housing market, and their housing demands can be very different from the local residents. So it is necessary to study the housing issues of migrants. The third issue is stock land, which is land that has already been occupied or developed. During the early stage of urbanization, some land was developed in a less efficient way, resulted from the unreasonable land use planning. To meet the current demands of urban development, stock land needs to be redeveloped. Under such a background, this project has three parts, aiming to answer three different questions. The first part will analyze different transformation modes of urban villages and explore the factors at the macro and micro level that can explain why different villages choose different modes and the mechanism behind their choice. The second part will compare migrants with local residents in terms of housing conditions and housing burden. It will also examine how individual and city factors influence their housing demands and the actual tenure choice. The third part will analyze redevelopment modes of stockland and figure out the composition of the price of stockland and how to distribute value appreciation during the process of redevelopment. This project will apply a variety of theories and concepts to guide the analysis, including contribution theory, stakeholder theory, consumer surplus theory, game theory, and the concepts of enabling government, land development rights, and land value capture. This project will mix both qualitative and quantitative approaches. In terms of qualitative methods, we are going to conduct in-depth interviews with key actors and stakeholders. We will also have a few case studies to look into specific cities or communities and also make comparisons between the cases to gain a deeper understanding. In terms of quantitative methods, we will build traditional econometric models and also try to apply machine learning to test the results. Since our team has the background of geography, we will focus on GIS-based spatial analysis to explore the spatial pattern of urban issues. Here are some photos taken during the field trips in urban villages and also site of stockland. Next, we will take a brief look at the findings. In the transformation process of an urban village, the most important stakeholders are the township government, the village collective, and the villagers. These three actors have different interest demands. For example, the villagers will ask for the composition of housing and job opportunities, whereas governments care more about meeting the political requirements and promoting the local economy. The relationship between the three stakeholders is also unique. Township and village governments exercise top-down administrative power to determine the urban village transformation mode, while the villagers have its autonomy power to influence the decision-making of the transformation mode. After the theoretical analysis, we carried out a city-level case study of Beijing. By summarizing the policies on urban villages at different periods of time from 1980s to present, we analyzed how these policies changed with the overall development environment of the city. We also completed 5 village-level case studies. Here are 2 examples. The Dawangjing village in Beijing transformed the urban village into a technology business innovation zone, which is now known as the second CBD of the city. The Ningmen Talents Apartment in Shenzhen is the first project that transformed the former urban village into large-scale apartment buildings to provide housing for young experts and professionals. In terms of housing for migrants, we found that migrants have a much lower rate of home ownership compared with local residents. In most cities, roughly 90% of the local residents are homeowners, but averagely only half of the migrants own a home. Therefore, we want to find out the reasons behind this low level of home ownership. Is it because migrants cannot afford the high housing price in the city, or they are less willing to buy a home? Though we divide migrants into groups based on their housing demand and the actual tenure choice, we found that 43% of migrants are renters and are not willing to buy. Then we examined the influence of individual factors on the housing demand of migrants, including migration pattern, life cycle, and socioeconomic status. We found that young migrants who are migrating alone from a far distance for less than 3 years are less willing to buy housing. We also showed the spatial distribution pattern and found that migrants with less demand for home ownership are generally concentrated in the southeastern coastal megacity regions. In contrast, migrants in the southwestern corner and the central region also have a low level of home ownership, but they have a high willingness to buy. On the other hand, the northeastern part of China is dominated by migrants with a high level of home ownership. Some of them even have higher demand for a second or multiple homes. In terms of stockland, we summarized and compared two main redevelopment modes of stockland. One is that the government purchases the land use rights and reserve or auction the land. The other is that the original land user submits the new land use planning application to obtain the new land use rights and develop the land. We carried out a case study of Beijing. In recent years, the local land market has been more strictly regulated, with the supply of new land decreasing every year. However, the demand for land remains high while the supply of available new land is limited. Therefore, it is necessary and imperative to make use of the stockland. We then look into the case of Tongzhou District in Beijing. Tongzhou will be the new administrative center of the city, and the whole municipal government will move there. But now it has a lot of problems on land, such as the lack of land for public facility and green space. So we cooperated with Tongzhou government and established several indexes and designed an evaluation model to measure different land redevelopment modes. Based on these findings, we published two papers in academic journals. They are Research on the Affordability of Rental Housing in Beijing and Optimization Strategy of Urban and Rural Stockland. This project will make contributions to PEA and K. In terms of prediction and projection, we deploy both qualitative and quantitative data to model the patterns of urban village transformation, housing for migrants, and stockland redevelopment, and study the mechanisms behind the land and housing system in urban China. In terms of emergent urbanisms, we focused on identification of social material system development in Chinese cities with an emphasis on informality, migration, and land to understand the dynamics of urban development and urban change in developing countries. In terms of adopted knowledge, we develop relations with city governments to provide policy suggestions on urban challenges based on the interdisciplinary analysis of urban land and housing involving human geography, urban planning, public policy, and land management. In terms of knowledge exchange, we will collaborate with other peak partners, urban researchers, and city managers to share research findings and exchange knowledge. We are also in the working group Urban Land Transformations, collaborated with IIHF and Oxford. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us.